Hi everyone, thanks for clicking. Today we're analysing what happened in the men's final of the Wtcs Montreal race. I did a full explanation of the new eliminator format featured in this race in my previous video analysing the heats, so check that out if you haven't already. Today's final will feature 3 races and 30 athletes. After race 1, the bottom 10 are eliminated, and the same again after race 2, leaving just 10 athletes to battle in race 3, with the first over the line taking the win and maximum series points. Nothing too crazy happened in race 1. In this format, you can't win the race in the first 2 races, you can only lose it. It's really a case of getting through the first 2 rounds as comfortably as you can. Louis takes a swim out fairly hard, but it's not enough at this stage to force any sort of split. The main bit of drama came on the bike, where Louis' chain appeared to slip off his front cog. He handles it remarkably well by reaching down to push out the chain while shifting his gears to get the front derailleur to push the chain back on. He chases on quite easily, which demonstrates a relatively slow pace so far. Pretty much everyone comes off the bike together. McDowell has a poor T2 and really has to fight through the field. This overhead shot of this turnaround point shows just how bunched up everyone is. It's almost like a shot from a zombie movie with everyone climbing on top of each other to get by. A huge pack of 19 crosses the line comfortably, with Hidalgo just taking the last spot behind. Notable casualties include Jonas Schomburg and Takumi Hojo, who won Heat 1 on Friday's qualification. Race 2, in my opinion, was definitely the most interesting of all the races across the weekend. This format really creates some interesting dynamics that incentivises different athletes to choose different tactics depending on their abilities and situation. And when these different tactics all come together, it makes some really great racing. The favourites and the best runners, like Louis, Wild, McDowell, will all expect to reach the final race, and so their tactics will be to expend as little energy as possible over the first 2 stages to save themselves for the final, whereas some of the lesser known names would be over the moon with the top 10 at this level, which they can guarantee by qualifying for the final. Therefore, their best option may be to go as hard as possible in race 2 to ensure that qualification spot, even if it means they don't really have much left in the tank to challenge in the final stage. And this is exactly the tactic we see Hidalgo use in race 2. He sets off fast right from the off and forces a gap. Out of the water and through transition, and a pack of 7 have a very small but importantly a clear gap to the remaining 13. The lead 7 is made up of Hidalgo, Louis, Berger, Van Riel, Reed, McDowell, Ryder and Verns. A great mix of strong favourites to keep the pace high who will benefit from a stress-free run, and athletes who know they need a gap on the run in order to have a chance of qualifying for the final race. On a side note, you can see Hayden Wild's custom-made shoes here, which must really help with getting feet in and out on Transition 1 and Transition 2. Poor old Bove could have really done with a pair of these yesterday. Although the lead pack never gets a huge advantage, they do manage to stay away. Even despite the best efforts of the camera motorbike giving the chasers a draft, you can see Louis telling him to get lost here. The 7 out front take a 7-second lead into the run, with Wild, Birtwistle, Gaines, Connix and Surratt all chasing hard to qualify. Ultimately, the only major casualty ends up being Hella Gaines. Ryder and Reed both make it through to the final, which is a great result for them, especially Ryder, as he had to qualify via the repechage on day 1, so has already done one more race than everyone else. On to the final race, Wild and Reed both with interesting walkouts. Predictably, with this race being the first one where exact positions inside of the qualification point actually count for something, it was a bit of a cagey affair. Louis again takes out the swim fast, but not enough to force any gaps, and all 10 finalists come out of T1 and onto the bike together. It's clear that everyone expects it to come down to the run at the end, and this ends up becoming a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, I think. 8 of the 10 of these athletes have made it this far based on the merit of their running, and so their best chance for a win or a podium is to wait until the run rather than try something on the bike. It doesn't make for a great watch though, and really the most exciting part for the first 90% of this bike is Van Riel just putting on his sunglasses to get a few sponsor brownie points. To his credit, Seth Ryder, knowing that he probably won't outrun any of the others, tries something towards the end of the bike and steals a couple of seconds. He must have watched my video on the heats yesterday. McDowell unfortunately pulls his car for Achilles coming out of T2. Connix immediately goes to the front on the run, setting a pace that slowly burns off all but 5 others. The run pace in this race was actually 7 or so seconds faster per kilometre than all others over the weekend, which is a significant margin at this pace. Berger as well, who's been fairly anonymous up until this point, surges up to the front to take the lead for a moment, whilst Louis slowly wins the battle behind to power through Surratt and Van Riel. The French take all podium spots, with Connix first, Louis second, Berger third. Results which I'm sure will take a bit of the sting off the disappointing Olympic individual races. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please hit the subscribe button below. Overall, I've enjoyed the new format this week. It's definitely thrown up some new racing dynamics, which has been cool to watch. Let me know if you enjoyed the format down below in the comments.